What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Total Takedown. We're talking pay-per-view fight week UFC 314. On this show, we go over and under as opposed to picking sides, trying to give you a different angle where you can make some cash. Two things to talk to you guys about real quick. Of course, as always, you guys need to check out Bet Openly. These numbers are going to be much better on Bet Openly. So if you guys are looking for better numbers than the one I'm quoting, it is 1% juice. Everything is going to be better over on that. If you guys are brand new to using any other sites for trading or betting, Kalshi is a good, awesome option. I'm getting all tongue tied over here. Link in the description below. They're doing trading, especially for Masters, right around the corner. That's something going on big this weekend. They're making a push for. Make sure you check out the link below and use the promo code. Thank you guys very much for the support. As always, let's get into this. The first total I want to bring to your attention here is Tresean Gore and Marco Tulio Silva. 1.5 total. Over is -135. Under is +105. Again, that's going to be better on Bet Openly. If you guys look at this fight, I think Tresean Gore's durability is really what we need to lean into here at this point. I kind of like this over 1.5. Marco Tulio is somebody who we know gets wild. He's very explosive. He's very creative with his strikes. But we've also seen that Tresean Gore is somebody who's tough, he's durable, and he's growing up in front of us. This is a guy who is he started his UFC run at 3-0. So like he's learning on the job. He's made his way a little bit better up. He's got a 2-fight win streak going, and those have been first round finishes, but over very low level competition. Taking a step up in competition against somebody he's probably going to have to mind his P's and Q's about. He's going to have to figure out the range and the distance. I think that extends this fight. I think Tulio is going to win the fight, and I actually think he might even win the fight by knockout. However, I think it's going to take him some time to get to that, and Gore might just be tough and durable enough to drag this thing for a full 15 minutes, even in a losing effort. So I actually kind of like this over 1.5 at -135. It will be greasy. It will be scary, especially to start, but that's the way that I would look. Next up, I want to talk Cedric Dumas and Michael Oleksiejczuk. You guys know my love affair and obsession with Cedric Dumas. I get mocked for it every single week on the show. Total is 1.5. Over is -155. The under 1.5 +120. Again, I lean over here. What we've seen from Michael Lord Oleksiejczuk is he likes to get out there and slug it out. He likes to bang. He wants to pressure you. He wants to get right in your face. But this man has switched over to the fighting nerds camp. So he is going to be somebody who I would expect to have a little bit more game plan coming into this week. He's now going to have a good team behind him, a team that knows how to utilize a game plan, who knows how to put together a full 15-minute winning condition. And because of that, I expect him to maybe slow it down just a little bit. Cedric Dumas, on the other hand, even though we know this guy's had some finishes, whether it be the head kicks on the regional scene or, his submission loss in the UFC, the eye poke TKO, which is just bull in the UFC, those aren't a real description of what this guy actually does. The fights that he wins are the fights that he makes close. He kind of figures out the timing and the pace and the distance, and once he has that, he decides to open up his offense from there. Now, I do believe Michael is going to have a speed advantage on this one, so he could get chin checked in a way he's never really been pushed before. But we've also seen Cedric Dumas go to the grappling, and he's a very big-framed individual, and we've seen that be a problem for Oleksiejczuk. So I think Dumas is going to be able to maintain the range and the distance early in this fight, and probably hit a couple of takedowns to go ahead and extend it. Now, whether Oleksiejczuk is able to handle that and takes over the fight deep down the stretch with his experience and his higher level, experience in the UFC, or whether Dumas is able to find his way to a submission like people have done in the past, I'm not entirely sure. I think this one's also going to be very, very greasy, but again, I kind of like taking that risk on the over 1.5, and -155 is a reasonable price tag for that. Next up, you have got Jim Miller and Chase Hooper. We're attacking all these 1.5s today, folks. 1.5 total. Over is -160. Under 1.5 +125. Now, you guys know I've got nothing but love and respect for round 1 A10 Jim Miller. This guy gets this done, especially when he's got to step down in competition, when he's got an advantage over people, especially with his grappling, his speed, his power. He takes kids out in round 1 all the time. The problem is Chase Hooper is not a kid anymore. Chase Hooper is evolved. He is now a man. He's developed those man muscles. He's got his man strength, and he's got the experience in the UFC to back that up. He knows how to go a hard 15 minutes, and he's faced people of this caliber before. This is a step up in competition. However, Jim Miller is an older veteran, somebody who Father Time is currently winning the battle against him with. So even though we've seen some okay performances of late from Jim Miller, we cannot deny the fact that he's over 40 years old, and one thing happens when these fighters pass that 40-year mark, they start to trend downhill. This is a Chase Hooper fight, and we know that from the -900 price tag. But what I think it is is a Chase Hooper late finish type of fight. I think we're going to see a round 2, round 3 TKO situation where Jim gets dragged late and Chase can do something that Bobby Green wasn't able to do. Put your foot on the gas pedal, get this guy out of there once he slows down, but it's not going to be that easy early. Chase Hooper is going to take some shots in round 1. He's going to have to mind his P's and Q's, and if he does crack Jim with something big while he's being aggressive, then this fight could get over in round 1. But I actually think that Chase Hooper is going to have to mind his P's and Q's, and I think he's going to be respectful of the danger coming his way from Jim Miller, at least to begin with, until he can really start to take over with pace, power, and pressure. So the over 1.5 at minus 160, I think, is a decent little snag for this fight. The next one I want to talk to you about here is going to be Bryce Mitchell and Gene Silva. 2.5 total, finally, right? We've got over 2.5 at plus 110, under 2.5 at minus 140, and I actually kind of like the under 2.5 in this one. We've seen the footage, right? We've all seen Gene Silva being taken down, so we know Bryce will hit those early takedowns. If he gets caught in an armbar, a twister, a guillotine, a darce, like, all that's totally possible for Bryce to land some kind of an early sub on this one. I also think that with all the trash talk and the heat coming from these guys, there is something personal about this fight. I do think both guys are going to come out trying to do damage, trying to win the fight, trying to set a highlight reel for themselves, and we know Gene Silva's all about that. If Gene Silva's got the ability to, he will put your lights out and face plant you on the floor. We've seen that happen to Bryce Mitchell already in the past. I like violence in this fight. Give me the under. The next fight up that I do want to mention to you guys is going to be Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez in your main event. Quick shout out, honorable mention to the co-main event. Chandler and Paddy Pimblett, the over 1.5 is minus 210. I don't know why it's chalked so high. I think you might want to look at an alternate total for that one. It is a 5-round co-main event. I had the hot take of Paddy Pimblett by decision in that fight. He's talking a whole bunch of trash about getting this thing done early, not getting paid by the hour, etc. And I think there's something about the way we've seen Michael Chandler fight his last couple of fights that Paddy actually might come out and take this thing a little bit slower. I wouldn't want to lay anywhere near the minus 210 on that one, so it's weird that it's a 1.5, but I would be leaning over as well. Numbers wrong, though, so do with that what you will. Again, honorable mention, but I spent way too much time on it. Main event, Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. 3.5 is your total. Over 3.5 is minus 145, and that is basically matching the Alexander Volkanovski money line. He's moving up, people. He dipped all the way down to about minus 120, and now it's a one-sided flood of Volkanovski money in the market coming back the other way. So the over bet is essentially a bet on Volkanovski, unless you think Diego Lopez can win a 25-minute decision against one of the greatest of all times this division has ever seen. Me personally, I can't see that. I think this is a remind them type of moment. Volkanovski has seen people this height, this reach, this length. He's dealt with it before in Max Holloway several times. And I don't think that Diego Lopez is really true blue GOAT championship caliber. I do think he'll have some early moments. He might even stun Volkanovski early on, but Volk is coming in serious shape. And I think we're going to see an epic throwback Volkanovski performance where it gets a little bit hairy, round 1, round 2, and then he just takes over. He works his way back into it, and he starts putting it on Diego Lopez down the stretch. So I like the over 3.5 here. It's a little bit safer than the Alexander Volkanovski money line, unless, of course, you think Lopez really is going to win by knockout in the first round or two. That is the Total Takedown, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure you tune into the other shows this week. We got a lot of action coming your way. We've got Clint's Hot Props coming up next. We've got the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show, and, of course, the Sharp Action Report on Friday. So tons of MMA action on a pay-per-view week. Love you guys. Hit the like button. Share the show. Let's roll.